Let's go, bro.
What's going on, guys? My name is NFT Flenny, and today's video is inspired by a tweet that I saw from Ecomi where they said to drop by Michael Adler's speaking event at NFT Expoverse. And I also saw in that tweet that he is the US GM for VeVe. Now, I might have been out of the loop, but I was not familiar with Michael Adler as being a part of the VeVe team. I probably saw his name doing some research a long time ago, but he's not someone who is usually in the forefront or really in the spotlight when it comes to the community updates or the AMAs, or just his presence on Twitter is not as much as someone like David or Dan or Reese. But that tweet inspired me to go look at that video. And then I also went down a rabbit hole of other interviews that he has done within the last year or so. And in this video, I wanted to go over some of the most notable things that I pointed out from watching those interviews. And really quickly, I just want to say that I do a lot of research for all my videos, but I did a lot for this one especially. Lots of organizing, researching, digging through old videos. So if you guys appreciate the content, a like, comment, subscription, anything like that would be greatly appreciated. So as you guys all know, this is not financial advice and will never be financial advice. And how this video is going to work is I'm just going to pick out a few short clips of things he said. I'm going to break them down into categories that I'll let you guys know, and then I'll talk about each clip and what I think about it, why I think it's important. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So how I'll be breaking this up is in three categories. The first one is Michael Adler's philosophy, what he brings to the table, what we might expect of him as the GM, the US GM of VeVe, and what we might expect, because he's in a very powerful leadership position. He really shapes a lot of how the company moves forward and how they work. So his philosophy on how to move forward with NFTs and digital collecting could have a great influence and could be a lot of what we see end up happening. The second part is where I will highlight things that he says about collaborating with brands, just brand relationships, all about brands and companies and how they interact with VeVe and how it's going to affect things moving forward. And then the last section will just be fun little hints that he threw out there that I haven't really heard other team members say, or things that haven't been brought up in a long time. And I'll just throw those in there so you guys can have some fun speculating. So before I show you guys some clips of his philosophy, I really quickly want to touch on his background, his work experience, and what he might be able to bring to the table for VeVe based on that experience. So we see here some of the titles that he has are team builder, growth expert, executive search, hands-on advisor, emerging tech, including Web3 and NFTs, of course. And then we see VeVe, investor, and he's an avid surfer. That's pretty cool. So he has over 20 years of experience working with high-scaling venture-backed and mature companies in the media, entertainment, and emerging technology space. So VeVe fits in perfectly to honestly all those things, just maybe not the mature part. He leverages a diverse background in investment banking, venture capital, business development, recruitment, sales, and hands-on operational experience. So again, I would say that these are all really good things for VeVe, especially where VeVe is at in its life cycle. He has successfully helped dozens of companies scale from inception to exit by providing them with his expertise in capital raising, operational, financial, and strategic guidance. So VeVe really has someone who is experienced and has done this multiple times before. And I think the capital raising, the operational, the strategic, and the partnership building, those areas of his expertise, I think, fit perfectly into VeVe, again, where they're at this point in their business life cycle. Because as we all expect, VeVe is not going to be a small startup for very long. I would argue they're already out of that phase now, just above it. But he has decades of experience getting companies from point A to point B from exactly where VeVe is at. And he's been on the team for 2 years, so he's been established. He's been having his strategic plans in place. So to me, that shows a lot of stability and commitment within the VeVe team. And also listed on his LinkedIn profile is AC Lion Digital Executive Search. And so if we check that out, we see the website here. They are recruiting digital talent for more than 20 years. And just a little bit about them. AC Lion is an executive recruiting firm for fast growth and emerging technology companies. Sound like VeVe, right? And organizations being disrupted by technology. Boom, VeVe again. One of the best recruiters in New York City and the longest in the industry. For 25 years, they have helped companies find rare and exceptional digital talent, building an extensive database of candidates along the way. So if you guys want to check more out, you can check out this website, but that's just even more background into who Michael Adler is and what he has done. So here's how Michael would describe himself and his role within working for VeVe.
Yeah, sure. My name is Mike Adler. Right now, currently working with VeVe. Started as an advisor and really just helping them, commercialize in the U.S. market, whether it's bringing on brands, partnerships, building out the team in any unique aspects of looking for the right partners to come on board. and work with VeVe in general.
So he works very heavily with, as he mentioned, brands and partnerships. That's one of his areas of expertise, one of the most important roles that he plays. And I think that's really exciting because he mentions a lot of things about brands and partnerships that I will touch on later in the video. But there's some background and there's his role within VeVe, in case you didn't know, because honestly, I didn't know before this. So now I'll start playing short clips of what I thought were the most exciting, most important things, and then I'll give my brief thoughts about it, and we'll keep doing that. And by the way, in case you want to check out the videos that I referenced in this video, all of them will be down in the description box below. And these videos aren't too recent. One of them is from May this year. The other ones are from 2021. So some things that he says or references might be a bit out of date. Just keep that in mind.
Can you talk a bit about community and community development and how your team tackles community and how you talk about it with those that you work with?
Yeah, look, it's so important for us to make sure that our community and users have their voices heard. I mean, people are talking about all type of speculation, what's happening, who we're bringing on as partners and everything else. We try to keep a good line of communication so they're in the know, which is very important to us.
VeVe's willingness to open up and take feedback and criticism from the community and act on it has been one of the main things that really drew me in from the jump. And I just love the aspect of being able to talk to, or at least hear from, literally the CEO of the company that we all fell in love with. And to me, this really shows their passion and their desire to make this a worthwhile and fun experience for all users involved. And it really helped me grow a real connection to the team, the project, and in turn, the community.
We have a great PR firm, Rogers & Cohen, that we use really to help come out with the key brands that we're working with, the key drops that we're doing. We try to make sure that we have a cadence that we've developed that our users and new users who want to come onto the platform are in the know. If there are any changes, like we're rolling out a master collector program, it takes time. People don't realize that certain things that you want to bring out to the market takes a lot of time, but also we don't want to bring something out that's not fully polished. And that's, really Dan, who's our COO, is super meticulous, and he wants to make sure that whatever we bring to market, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but as close to perfect as possible.
So there were two main things I wanted to point out about that clip. The first one being Rogers & Cohen, their PR firm. In my last video, I mentioned that, and I also have a complete video going over specifically Rogers & Cohen PMK, their PR firm. And for some reason, I just assumed they weren't really using them yet because VeVe hasn't really been marketing all that much. But as the GM said, and partly why I didn't think they're using it is because no one else had brought this up yet, but as Mike Adler said, they work with Rogers & Cohen to get the cadence of their drops. So I'm assuming that means get a set schedule so people know what to expect, when to expect it, and people can be as in the know as possible. And then the second thing was that they only want to put out polished products, and that comes back into one of their slogans of premium digital collectibles. In the NFT space, you always see so much trash, so many things that you just know got thrown together, and then they put all the money and effort into the hype campaign. We've seen so many rugs, so many scams. So I think that this attention to detail and maybe moving a bit slower, but putting out a great product, I think is really underappreciated.
I mean, look, everyone's running towards the metaverse, and we're creating our own VeVe-verse, which is important. But I'm really looking to the long-term utility value and the use cases that we can come out with that will make the most sense. We want to be able to make sure that there are use cases that are going to be strong and pertinent, that we can build a better one-to-one communication with our fans, which is what it's all about. And I think we're really in the first inning of what the utility value is going to look like.
I am extremely happy to hear him talk about utility because one of the main things that really got me so convinced on NFTs from the jump was the fact that you could do pretty much anything you want with them. I feel like a lot of people in the NFT space buy NFTs because they're NFTs. They want to be a part of a new and emerging technology. But I think the only way to get the masses into NFTs is if there is utility. And another big reason why I'm convinced that NFTs are the future and will continue to grow is because there is so much incentive for companies to utilize this utility. And honestly, probably my main takeaway from listening to these Michael Adler interviews is that he loves utility, and that's one of his main goals going forward. I think since everything is so new, companies are brand new to this space, they don't know what to expect, they're not really sure even what they're doing a lot of the time. They're probably hesitating just a little bit to incorporate utility into these, but as the space gets more established, as they get their feet wetter in the NFT space and they become more experienced and more comfortable, I think that's when we'll start to see him roll out more things like more movie tickets, more discounts. And the fact that the licensors earn royalties on every single transaction means that they have no reason to not want to incorporate utility and incentivize people to buy, sell, trade, switch hands. Say you're going to Disneyland for just the weekend, you can buy a collectible, say it's only like 10 bucks. But if you save 20 bucks on concessions because of the utility discount, then it'd be worth your while. Disney isn't really losing any money because they got you to the park. You paid for parking, you paid for everything, but you got 20 bucks off some overpriced popcorn. And not only that, they made a percentage of the sale that you use to buy the collectible, and then they'll make another percentage of when you sell the collectible. So utility gets me really excited, and Michael Adler is a huge proponent of it, which I love. And I really like some specific word choices that he used. He said use cases that are strong and pertinent. I think that is so important. Utility for the sake of utility, or NFT for the sake of NFT, is not enough to convince people.
Look, I think the most important thing for us is about the experience. And as people learn as people are learning more about what NFTs are, and there's so many options, like there's so many places to go. And for VeVe, we want to be able to be the de facto platform that if you're a fan of pop culture, you're a fan of art, you're a fan of music, you're a fan of sports, we want to be able to bring to the mass market a uniqueness in our 3D technology for all different fans of all different walks of life. And I think that's really the key that I want people to understand, that we're not a third-party exchange. And we never want to be a third-party exchange. We want you to be able to come to VeVe as a collector and to be able to experience and buy something that you like, that resonates with you, that you love, versus just going out there and speculating, buying stuff on open exchanges. And it's all about the experience. We want to create the best experience where we don't want to retrain the user on a new paradigm. People have been collecting for thousands of years. We're replicating what people do in the physical world in the digital world. You buy, you interact, you have fun with, you share, and then within our platform, we have our own secondary market where you can resell so it's a seamless process, and we built it mobile first to make it super easy for you to come, buy, interact, sell.
So Alfred Kahn always says this, who is the head of licensing for VeVe, made Pokemon what it is today. I'm sure a lot of you know, but if not, that's the very quick and simple rundown. But as Alfred Kahn always says, he sees VeVe being the Walmart of NFTs. It's the one-stop shop. You got any interest, any genre, whatever it is you're passionate about, whatever you like to collect, VeVe has something for you. So he's hammering this point down, and I think that this is why VeVe will be one of, if not the only, NFT marketplaces that has true mass adoption that can span across literally any person.
From the way we designed it initially, as being a mobile app, our goal is to make it as easy to use for consumers, but also for brands to be able to go in and interact. And when I look at it, when I explain it to someone, the key is to make it as simple as possible for someone to use. You don't have to go in and download a wallet, go on into an open marketplace and really figure out how to do it. You download the app, you go into the store, you buy a collectible, and then the whole aspect of it is the interactivity, is the experience.
This is one of the biggest selling points for VeVe, is the simplicity. Imagine trying to explain to your mom, to your grandma, to one of your coworkers, to one of your friends, okay, so you gotta go to Bit4X, then you gotta send Tether from this exchange, send it to there, buy it here, transfer it to there, convert it into Ecomi, use it to buy NFT, like any kind of that process, like I said, making a wallet, all that stuff, that barrier to entry draws a lot of people away, and they would be more than content missing out on the opportunity because they don't want to have to learn a whole new process. They don't want to have their money tied up in something that they don't understand it. So I think that this was one of the most genius aspects of VeVe's game plan as to how to roll out the app and just how to have the platform be in general just as simple as possible. So I think this is massive. Something that we talked about a lot in this video is mass adoption. This is completely necessary for mass adoption.
Just think about it. You have your collectibles 24/7. You can be anywhere in the world and you want to open up your, your Batman, or if you want to open up any of your Marvel characters, you can do it at the beach. You can do it if you're a college student. You can do it anywhere in a park, anywhere in the world.
Now, this is something that really drew me into VeVe in the first place that I kind of forgot about because I'm so used to it now. I don't even think about it in this way. But basically, like he just said, why I love digital collecting is that you can have your entire collection in your pocket. As he also said, you can take it anywhere with you. I've slowed down a bit, but I'll share a few pictures on the screen of all the AR pictures I've taken, whether it's on vacation, just doing whatever, honestly, on hikes, all that stuff. I love using my collectibles whenever I can. And I have to start taking more because it's a lot of fun, but I love the aspect so much because imagine trying to do a little photo op with your collectibles. You got to take the whole box, bring it to where you're going, set them up. They fall over, they get damaged. Now they're not as valuable. So you wouldn't even do that with valuable collectibles. So this is really revolutionary in terms of collecting and the immersion and the engagement with your collectibles.
And we want to really analyze how we can come out and perfect our platform in different ways, whether it's, payout, or if it's going to be, what are we looking at from a metaverse standpoint? We're not rushing into anything. Our approach is we're here for the long term. We're telling our brands like the Disneys of the world that, this isn't a, 1 year project. And then if the market crashes with peaks and valleys, then we're going to go away. We're focused on the long term. We're focused on how we can build the right feature sets.
So a big point of contention for a long portion of VeVe's life has been the delays, the setbacks, taking a long time to get things done. But like I've been saying, don't get me wrong, I've been frustrated with a lot of delays as well. But like I've been saying in some of my other videos, good things take time, and they're taking their sweet time to make sure that it is done correctly. There is so many regulatory hurdles. If laws change and make something obsolete within the app, they gotta backtrack, start all over, remove a feature, which if you think about it, imagine if we had something like the Master Collector program where we had payout and then it got taken away because a new law got passed or because they rushed it, didn't meet all the legal requirements, now they're getting sued. That would cause way more problems. And so they're doing things the right way. And Michael Adler here emphasizes that with everything, payout, metaverse, they're taking their time, doing it the right way. And we are gonna see an amazing product.
Look, my goal is always looking at trends and being 1 or 2 steps ahead of those trends. And there's always a maturation process when it comes to new technologies. And like everyone looks at the NFT space, they read all these articles, things are down 90%. It's a fad, there's no value in them, but it takes time for technologies to evolve. And I would say become more mainstream, but to have different use cases. Like if you look at blockchain initially, people really understand the value of blockchain. But now, as the years have gone on, people really understand how it improves, security, transparency, and all of that. Same thing with other parts of technology.
So a lot of you are probably tired of hearing me say it, but we are still so early. This just reaffirms the fact. I was talking to my girlfriend about this, that I was really thinking how 10, 15 years ago, social media as we know it today was either not a thing or it was just getting off the ground, like MySpace and the beginning of Instagram, that kind of thing. And even just like 5 years ago, TikTok was barely even a thing. It might have even still been Musically. I'm not positive about that, but just think 5 years ago. Think about how massive TikTok is now, how influential it is, how many users it has. And just a few years ago, that was not present in our lives. And the reason I'm saying this is because I was thinking about NFTs and VeVe, and some of my friends in the group chat were bashing NFTs for a dumb reason, in my opinion. And it was just a reminder that so many people misunderstand the technology. The technology is not fully formed. It's open to a lot of scams. It's harder for a lot of people to understand. It's not very friendly to new users. So just like all other technological advancements, it takes time, it takes improvement, and it takes people to come back around, especially when it comes to these brands like the Disneys, the Marvels, the Star Wars. There will always be a demand for them. So I'm not worried about those dying off. And as the tech improves and as the utility improves, as the interoperability improves, it'll only get more and more seamless. And I think right now we're in the beginning of like the MySpace stages. And in 10, 15, 20 more years, we'll be at the TikTok stage.
Look, I think the use cases are unlimited. Similar to what Fabio said, you're talking about deeds to your title to your house, deeds to anything that you own. I think every single industry, there's unlimited use cases for the use of NFTs in particular. So whether it's real estate, whether it's music, whether it's entertainment, like ticketing, I just think that having that digital authentication, but also being able to track is really super important for the long term. And the verification of ownership 20 years from now, you can go back onto a blockchain and see that it was authentic, is really the key. So I think the use cases, are endless. They really are.
So that clip was from NFT Expoverse, the event that I mentioned at the beginning of the video about the Ecomi tweet. When it comes to other uses for NFTs, like he mentions house deeds or ticketing, I'm not completely sold, or I'm not so sure, I should say, about how it's gonna go or if it'll be used, because there are already contracts now, there are already things in place that work well enough, it seems. If NFTs can do them better, then I'm sure in time they'll be used. But hearing someone who is experienced and very deep in the NFT space talk about those things gives me more reassurance that maybe it is more likely than I'm thinking that we see these things and we see NFTs used in just about every part of our lives. And then, like he mentions, the authentication, go back however many years, if it's on the blockchain, you'll be able to see it. And I think it'll be cool to track the history, track the path of certain collectibles or just anything. And if you can prove for a fact, without any doubt, that you have been the only person to hold that partner statue for 70 years, then that could be something really cool. And if it wasn't for the blockchain, if it wasn't for NFTs, that would not be exactly possible. You could have other kind of evidence, but it would never be as foolproof as the blockchain. So that was the first part of clips that we're going over Michael's philosophy about how he views VeVe's future, crypto's future, NFT's future, and just how he plans to move forward in this new and emerging space. And I will say that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. We'll see how much I can chop up in the editing room, but we are now moving on to part number 2, and I promise you these next 2 parts are nowhere near as long as that first one. So, if you can, try to stick it out to the end. But this section of clips will be about what Michael says about working with brands, how they view the NFTs and where they see it going, all that kind of stuff. So let's get right into that.
Because for us, it's a true partnership with our brands. We're not like an OpenSea. We're not a wearable where you're uploading your content, your NFTs to the platform, and we're taking a small percentage. We're there to help our brands come up with the best product in the market that will be seeded, but also making sure it's communicated in the most efficient way what the brand's going to come out with. And they're behind it. This isn't us. If we're doing a Superman drop or a Captain America drop, we're getting full sign-offs from the Marvel team or Warner Brothers or any of our partners, and it's fully collaborative.
Tell us a bit about that, working with these huge brands, and how do you best serve them?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, initially, it was really an education process to really help them figure out how a digital collectible can be incorporated into all the things that they're doing, from new movies that are coming out, from new releases, theme parks and all of that. So for us, it was really just trying to figure out what are the most iconic brands that we want to work with, looking at the characters that people associate the most with, and really just coming up with a strategy on coming out with the first editions that people really want to collect and bringing them out at a price point that aren't absolutely crazy. I mean, our goal is to bring the price points out between $10, $15 up to $100. And really what most of these brands wanted to know is how can we go to the market in a very easy, safe way, controlled, where crypto isn't a big aspect of it, that people can come in and really experience it. And that's how we really approached these brands and got them comfortable to come onto our platform and to work with VeVe.
I'm not sure if everyone knows how involved all the brands are that are onto VeVe. Some people might think that they just sign an agreement, okay, use our IP, and then the VeVe team does everything. But this is a strategic, well thought out, and long-term plan of collaborating, not just licensing, but collaborating with these companies as to how they want to move forward in the NFT space. It's really cool knowing that these companies trust VeVe and the team enough to seek their advice and go with their suggestions, like the price points, the editions, first appearance, first edition, and it's more of a team effort rather than a big brother, little brother type deal. So just like the majority of the population, the majority of these companies are still coming around to NFTs, and it might take a little while. Some, just like us, are earlier than others, but this is some momentum that we've seen that cannot be stopped at this point.
I mean, look, there's a lot more competition, there are a lot more companies coming into the market. So depending on your approach, I think you have to build some type of moat around your company. And for us, the moat is having good relationships with our brands and bringing on more brands, and they're happy.
So I pointed this out because it's a great example of how VeVe is really about building relationships, keeping their connections, and making these big brands happy. That gives me a lot of confidence as an investor in this project that if things do go south, that they have the relationships built, and one of their major partnerships isn't going to jump ship at the first sign of things going badly, or at the first sign of maybe something more shiny or more new.
How does VeVe deal with other collaborative competitors in the industry? DC has a new product. And so what is the thought on that? Does a rising tide raise all ships in this industry? Can there be collaboration, cross-brand, cross-platform? How do you play nice, but still build your own, environment for this community to thrive?
Yeah, I mean, look, in the rising ships, in upturns and downturns in markets, the companies that aren't doing well will go by the wayside. And we recognize that. It happens in all boom and bust economies. But for us, look, we look at our competitors as hopefully they're raising the bar. We want to raise the bar, and we want to find ways to collaborate. Our main thing is, we need to do what's right for our brands. And that's the most important thing. For Disney, for Warner Brothers, for Coke, we want to make sure that they're happy. And, even our choices of, the blockchains, we chose to go from one chain to another because Immutable X, gasless, it's easier, but also they're building gateways onto OpenSea, and they're building gateways that we want to partner. I mean, we don't want to be isolated in our own little world. We want to be a part of the bigger ecosystem, and we want to add as much value to that ecosystem with our collectibles, with our feature sets, with everything that we're rolling out. So, we look at competition as a good way for us to up our game. And if another competitor comes out with a feature set, whether it's payout or whether it's interoperability, we want to get there, and we want to make sure that we're on par, or come out with better feature sets than our competitors.
And some of this IP is going to become, as big of a deal as a Disney over the course of the next 100 years, certainly.
Yeah.
And so where is their place? This new IP that's been created in the blockchain as NFTs, where is that place in terms of creating collectibles that may align with what VeVe is doing? Or is there an open door for VeVe to work with some of these types of NFT brands to bring collectibles to market?
There's definitely an open door. I mean, our focus isn't, we want to work with big brands, and we've done a great job of curating and working with them, but we also are always looking for newer up and coming content companies and creators. And we've brought some very unique stuff to market. But for those people who are, up and coming, or they're out of the box and they're creating these new content, look, the digital world is a great way for it, because there's a wider reach, there's a bigger market. And look, when someone comes on our platform, they might not be the biggest Disney fan. We want to be able to cater and bring on new stuff that people are going to like, whether, people go to DesignerCon or they go to Comic-Con, or if they go anywhere else. So we are always looking to curate unique assets outside of the big brands. We love working with the big brands, and we want to be an advocate for them. And we want to be able to teach them how to come into the NFT world in a very easy, safe way. But yeah, we're always on the lookout. And I think it's great. When you're talking about like our virtual showrooms, or you're looking at a metaverse, every person is different.
So here we see that VeVe keeps an open mind when it comes to all kinds of collaborators, their competition, interoperability with maybe other blockchains, other NFT projects, but at the same time, they are keeping a watchful eye on the companies that make them what they are, which is the premium digital marketplace for the top licensed IP. So I really like this balance of risk-taking and adventure with playing it safe and keeping the big dogs happy, because in my opinion, they are what makes this app so special and so unique. I've got nothing but love for smaller artists and smaller companies, but it's a lot easier to create an app or create a platform that can distribute or sell those. But getting something as big as Disney is obviously a much, much greater task that takes way more connections, way more experience, way more expertise. And there's a reason that only one NFT platform has brands like that. And that's because VeVe has an unmatched team, an unmatched product, and unmatched quality. So that wraps up the focus on the brand section. And for the last section, it's incredibly quick, just a few seconds. I just want to point out a few things that he mentioned that I'm not sure if they were just broad examples he was giving, or if there were slip-ups, or if he just saying it in broad daylight and we're not really picking up on it. But there are a few things I noticed. Let me know what you guys think. I think they're pretty interesting, and I think it's interesting that he said these specific examples. Let's go check those out.
We only sold 7 of them, but that bridged the gap between the physical world and the digital world, where whoever bought that NFT got the rights to bring 7 of their friends or colleagues to the movie. And so looking at that, as we're launching sports.
So as he was talking about the utility when it comes to the James Bond 007 movie tickets, he also mentions that he's looking for the same thing when we're watching sports. And I'm not sure if you guys remember, but a while ago, the NFLPA, which is the NFL Players Association, in case you're not in the United States, the NFL is American football. It's probably the biggest professional sports league in the United States. And so the NFLPA is the players union. So it's not the NFL as a whole, but they said they had the license for the Players Association, so they would get the rights to all the players' likeness. And seeing sports on VeVe would be such a game changer. Imagine like trading cards or special moments or just 3D models of your favorite player doing, throwing a pass, doing a kick. It could be anything. Let me know down in the comments if I'm missing something or if I'm completely misunderstanding him. I just thought it was interesting that he mentioned sports when he was talking about utility for the James Bond movie ticket.
Metaverse, being able to experience things in the most incredible way. Imagine, Steven Spielberg, if you could interact with ET and have that feeling.
Do you guys think there's a specific reason that he mentioned ET? I don't know. That seems like a random character to me. Maybe just he loved the movie as a kid, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
But it's also pushing the envelope, like you said before, that we want to continue to evolve, add feature sets that the Spielbergs, the George Lucases, the Steve Jobs, would embrace.
Now, which one of those people that he listed is not like the others? We got George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Steve Jobs. 2 of them already have their works on VeVe, and Steve Jobs does not. And there are a ton of rumors about Apple and VeVe collaborating, especially with the new AR hardware that Apple has been teasing, the Apple glasses, and just other developments that go along with that.
So we do work quite closely with Apple.
So I don't know. That's just some fun speculation to think about. Don't take that as fact or as it's going to happen by any means. It's just pretty fun to speculate, right? All right, I think that's it. I've been recording forever. I'm not sure how long the video's gonna end up being. I'm not sure if I just cut out a bunch and I'm saying this for no reason. Like, what are you talking about? It's a 10-minute video. If I can make it 10 minutes, then I must have cut out a lot and I spent a good portion of my day for nothing, if that's the case. But if you made it this far, I really, really appreciate you. Really appreciate you watching and all the recent support I've been getting. You guys really do motivate me to keep making these videos and keep doing this research, put them all together in a clean, organized, concise. I'm not always very concise, but I try to make it as concise as possible. So I just want to say thank you guys very much. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, comment if you got something to say, and subscribe if you are enjoying the content. As always, my name is NFT Flenny, and I will catch you guys next time.